Welcome back, terrestrials. We're almost at 400. We might have 400 by now subscribers. We appreciate you. Thank you. In this episode, we're going to be doing Terrifier 3.
Terrifier 3, right.
I've got some controversial shit to say about this one, so let's just jump
Hey,
right into it. Jerry, what do you grade this movie?
gonna give it a C.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a C as well. Um, you want to go first? You want me to go first?
Yeah, give me your controversial shit.
Well, all right. So it's not so much controversial as it is like I'm just not going to suck this movie's dick for the sake of it being art to clown.
Right,
I think that that's where a lot of people are with these movies is like, oh no, they're great. Yeah, they are great, but also let's take a step back and realize that this movie is just being violent for the sake of being violent
right.
because it worked two times before. The first time it was pretty violent, and then they amped it up, and then they amped it up again. It's just like they're just going, oh, you want more? Like I
That's the selling point for it.
yeah,
Is
you're
like
you're you're
these
doing it for the sake of just doing it.
right
You're not doing it for the art. You're
for the
doing
art.
it. Yeah, yeah. See, get it. You're just doing it for like be because,
Yeah,
you know. And I feel like because you're doing that and you're focusing on how can we kill this person? How can we make it bloody? How can we make it gory? The story is kind of starting to lack. Um, you get some of the backstory and you get a little bit more of these like little, hints that are going to take you through this story of Sienna and her dad and what's
okay.
really happening and stuff. But at
Yeah,
the same time, it's still being elusive, I guess, maybe because he hasn't fully flushed it out yet. I don't know.
right.
Maybe he has, and he's just playing games with us. But it just seemed like the story was starting to lack, and you know, it was like gore porn. That's all.
Yeah, that's what these are. These are becoming to the point where it's like, okay, we're making lots of money and headlines and notorieties and because of the like, oh my God, you got to see this movie because blank, 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 that idea,
Yep.
and it's I will say, okay, the problem with the movie is the first one is so good that anything that comes out afterwards either A has to be looked at as camp, B has to be looked at as a pale comparison to the first, and not the the anthology movies where he makes
Right.
appearances, but that first Terrifier was
Right.
just so well done. It was such a perfect atmosphere. And
Yeah. It was
who
perfect.
needs fucking questions and answers? And no, it's just
He
it's
just
there.
is,
and
and he just
and
does.
because the audience in 2025 is so starved for just a decent slasher that it's like, well, this is what's on the table, and so we can do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want, but then you try to throw some storyline in there, and I like when I watched it, I was like, oh well, man, I kind of missed the second one, and I know I shit all over the second one, but
Well,
there were
yeah.
things in the second one that I really did enjoy.
Yeah.
Obviously
Where's the little girl?
yeah, that's we don't need it. We don't fucking need it. Who cares? Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain. But
Right. Yeah.
like the Terrifier ride,
Yeah.
I love that. The condemned haunted house thing. Love
She
that
goes
idea.
back. She goes back there to retrieve her sword
Yeah,
off camera.
Yeah.
Off
And
fucking camera.
off
Like,
camera.
what?
And most of the kills in this, like, okay, first of all, I just want to put it out for that the Christmas thing it was a selling ploy,
Hmm.
but it never really was like a pivotal moment of why this was happening during Christmas time,
Right.
and it just feels off because it should be around Halloween time because it feels more like, and I know people are like, fucking Michael Myers and shit, and it's like, yeah, but it makes art feel like, like that's where he's supposed to be. Yeah, because the first
Well,
movie was done in Halloween, and the second one was done in Halloween, and then the third one, they threw Christmas in there just because it felt like,
well,
you know.
yeah. I mean, I didn't mind the Christmas aspect so much. I think that it was, it's an interesting way to start it, I guess. Just, do something a little different. I get it.
Right.
But back to I'm going to cover everything that you just said.
Okay.
But if I remember, but yes, the first one is perfect. The first
Perfect.
one is a piece of art. The
Yes.
first one should not have had any more afterwards. It should have been left alone.
Right. But
I
you could say that
understand.
about any horror franchise
Yeah, I understand.
except
I'm,
Friday the 13th.
yeah, that one needed to keep
Yeah,
going
that one needed
uh,
to keep
it
going.
just needed 18 tries.
Right.
But, but it didn't need any more.
No.
But I understand that the character is so good
Hmm.
and the character's so evil and just, but that's what made him good. There was no reason. He just was and he just did.
It just
They're
happens. Like,
trying to put this on him, and they left a little through line on the off chance that they got to make another one so that they could bring him back.
hmm
I think that that was a mistake, or they should have just made the same movie again differently. This movie, the second movie, you bring in Sienna, you bring in her brother, you bring in this fiery sword, this angel costume, whatever. You start this storyline, and then the third one explains a little bit more about the second one. Now, I think with the third one, it made the second one more palatable because it got a little bit more story. I'm a sucker for story. I like backstories. I like all that shit. I like origin stories. I love that kind of stuff.
okay.
So when watching this one, I was like, all right, okay, I get number two a little bit more
Right.
now. Um, oh, okay, but at the same time, I if they have to be if it has to be there, fine. It doesn't need it. It doesn't really. I think that it's a misstep trying to shove this sci-fi story inside this horror movie.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not opposed, and I'm not overly thrilled with this movie, and at this juncture, I can say I'm over these movies. Um,
Mm.
now, with that being said,
Yeah.
am
This
I
movie sucked
going
until the next one comes out.
right? Well, no, I'm saying that's what I'm saying. Essentially, is like I'm over these movies, but I'm going to continue to watch them.
Right.
I'm going to watch every single one that comes out till he is beat this horse to death
Right.
with another dead
Until the
horse.
remake comes
Because
out in
right,
2050.
yeah, yeah, and starring Austin Butler or something.
Right.
But like I'm just like I'm good. It's not what I wanted. It's not what I was hoping for. I felt like there was such an opportunity there. And this is no shot at the movies. They're good in their own rights, but
Right.
the first one and even the anthologies were so special because he just was
It
and
just
he just
was.
and
It's
he
just a
did.
thing there. And it was
Yeah,
like, oh,
and
wow. You
and
know,
now you're making him into a demon. You've abandoned the little girl that's part of his psychosis.
right.
You've got this other girl that was never alive, like the dead girl or
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, the sister from
But
the first movie
yeah,
is,
yeah, yeah.
oh,
It's
you're
just
talking
like,
about the where our main character is seeing like the people that were murdered by Art in the second movie?
yeah.
Or are you talking about
Well, and
the
also
girl
the
that
sister too. Yeah, yeah.
finger bangs herself with a piece of broken
Yeah,
glass?
yeah, her. Yeah,
Okay,
but
that was the
it's
sister.
like yeah, I know. I
Okay.
know.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying like also that like that all that is not necessary. Like why is she there? Why did you abandon this other person? Why is Art's head walking around or like body walking around trying to find the head? Like it's just
Stuff. It's
you got away
stuff.
from the basics, man. You
Right.
got away from the basics and got away from what made it great. And obviously the actor David, he did an amazing job. He always
Yeah.
will. He will always be Art the Clown. And I'm not trying to throw shade at the director, but this just isn't the move. Like,
This, if I may,
okay.
this is the TikTok equivalent of a movie where a modern generation of kids that really love these Terrifier movies that are coming out now in the theaters, they they pay attention and then something happens and they go, "Oh," and then it's like fucking white noise for like a couple good long while and then something happens and then it's just like okay then the back to the who gives a shit about this part and then well wait a minute and
So
then
that's
something happens and because it like nothing kind of feels like it flows like it
it
would like
it doesn't feel like it flows very well at all.
right
But as where you were going, white noise, I didn't mind looking at the psychosis of Sienna
right
and watching her trying to fight her illness and her trauma and stuff like that. I didn't mind that.
neither no and that's
And I
fine
think
because
that
it's not for our
if,
generation of slasher
well,
movies you know
yeah, but I don't hold myself in a certain generation because I like other generation movies. Like
right
the our generation is H2O. Let's be honest. We take on the 80s because we don't want that.
our
So
our
like,
generation is Scream generation. We are the Scream generation,
all right, that's fair.
you
That's a
know,
smarter way to do it.
and then
But
all
it's
the
still
new kids are
fucking
like that
but
boring
it's
ass
still
fucking
Halloween
movie.
6. It's still Halloween 6 and it's still fucking Friday part, 8 or whatever or 9 or what, it's
Jason Goes
still
to Hell. Yeah,
yeah, it's still pretty far down the line. But anyways, that's beyond the point. I don't mind watching that
right.
but I would have liked that as a different movie. I would have liked that separate because I like Sienna. I think her character's good.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
Tommy
her going
Jarvis.
through Right. I think her going through some sort of trauma and then reacting the same way and trying to find a way to live in it and constantly being fear of art coming back
Hmm.
and everywhere she turns there's art. If they would have taken that and made it its own two, three movies, sure. I want to see art for no reason picking and killing because that's what art does.
Right,
So that should have been two different movies. And
right,
maybe he had these other movies and he was like, I don't know how to go about this. I'm just going to put art in the middle of them. And then, we're going to go this
right.
way about it. I don't know. Again, I don't hate this movie. I watched it, but I found myself going like, does
Boy,
she
I want to
really need
watch
to
Terrifier 1.
Yeah,
Boy,
basically. But
yeah.
like, does the girl need to finger bang herself with a piece of glass?
No,
Like,
but
do they need like
gotta wake that audience up
right?
and
But
like,
fucking really like, I, there's a point where like people were like, oh, people are getting up and walking out. Look, I saw number two in the theaters and people were getting up and walking out. There was like eight of us there, and by the time the movie was over, it was me and this and like nobody else. There was like two other people in there.
right,
So like I get the shock value and I get that you're just putting it in people's faces and all that stuff. I get it. We grew up in 80s slashers like
yeah,
or we didn't, but we take on 80s slashers and we see the dead alive like lawnmower cutting up a bunch of bodies and stuff like that.
right.
But at some point you got to sit back and go, dude, you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. It's
Right.
not doing anything. Like the first time it was a little bit more raw and it was a little bit more real.
It was
And
from
it
left
just,
field. Oh my
yeah,
God, he's gonna
yeah,
fucking saw that girl in half.
yeah.
Oh, he's
But
gonna, you
it
know,
also just seemed, this is a weird way to describe it, but it seemed more honest. Like it seemed more
okay,
like, hey, I got this movie where this dude's gonna be a complete fucking psycho and dressed like a
right.
clown. All right,
We
cool,
have
let's check it
to
out.
build
Now it
it, you
feels
know.
like, hey, you remember that first one that I did? I need to do that again.
Right.
I'm not sure how I'm going to do that again, but I need to do that again.
How are we gonna
Um,
up
yeah,
ourselves?
yeah,
I don't know. Blow up a bunch of kids in a mall, and it's like,
right.
okay, I guess,
Yeah,
like
yeah. Like, all right, well,
I mean, like, yeah, that idea of how simple the first one was
yeah,
with the music, the atmosphere, the
yeah.
things like that. And going back to our main character in the character that we're going to focus on, yeah. If you're going to take the, exploring her trauma from what happened in the second one, then go all in.
Mhm.
Show us her in the facility, the rehab facility, or wherever she may be, and experiencing, like things like I don't like cereal. Like when that shit came up, my brain went, why does she like cereal? And then I had to remember, oh yeah, the second movie and shit. Like, if
Mhm.
I would have been in the theater to see this and not on a DVD, I would have
Mhm.
been fucking lost and shit in certain points.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, in this movie, I'm watching it. I'm watching it, and I got fucking lost. Like when she's talking to her dad, and her dad turns into a fucking Urukai from the Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Virgin Mary, and then all of a sudden we're not in a dream anymore,
Hmm.
like out of left field,
Yeah.
and like her brother's dead and shit. I was like, whoa. So this isn't a dream? I thought we were in a dream and shit.
Yeah,
Like
I feel like
like I don't know
it
if I
got
blacked out or whatever. I mean,
it
but
got so much going on that it got boring. Like it just like I was just by the time she was tied up in the chair
mhm.
in the house, I was just like
What are we doing here, guys?
not
You know?
you know, it's like it's I guess it's kind of the equivalence of porn. Like
Well, yeah,
you watch porn, you get desensitized, so you have to find more extreme porn or different porn or whatever. And that's basically what these movies are. It's like, yeah, you're cutting this face off and you're eating it and blah blah. Blah. And I'm just like, mm, you know,
yeah, but with
like,
no rhyme or reason to it. If there's a reason on why this is happening, just like when Art in
well,
the
art
first
doesn't have
movie
a reason.
kill
So
when he cut the tits off
girls,
of
yeah,
the homeless lady, the crazy, it's my baby,
yeah.
lady.
I
There
still
was a
feel like he
reason.
should have left her alone.
Yeah, it was
There's
nice. It was
part of
like they're a
yeah,
little family and shit.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Uh, but when he filleted that lady and shit, there was a reason why he was doing it. And
yeah.
this, there's just like, oh, okay, or like, okay, everybody, like, obviously, Tara and my daughter saw this in the theater, and they just kept on telling me to wait for the shower scene. Wait for that shower scene. Wait, that's your sawing in a half. That's your the girl getting sawed in half.
Mhm.
And it was okay. It was like the purpose of it just felt left field. Like, how the fuck did he get into college? Where did he go to? How did he get here though? And shit, like, where is he going to college? Is this like a community college in the town where Art
Yeah,
lived, or is
yeah.
Art like? I know we saw him take the fucking subway at one point, and and it's just like give me direction and shit. Um,
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think that it's safe to assume every slasher can get around and just appear wherever they need to be to
right,
drive the story. So like at least they showed him on the fucking subway.
right,
'Cause, you know, Jason just shows up 4 miles away. like in front of somebody somehow.
It's just
And same thing with
magic.
Freddy and everything. So at least they're at
It's
least showing
magical.
him taking some form of fucking transportation. Um, but yeah, it was a lot of like extra.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of things that I was just like, oh, what? But why?
Yeah.
Like, but I'm bored now. Like, I'm bored. I'm over it. Like, that's why I think I was leaning more into the actual like sci-fi part of it and less of art and what he's doing.
Right.
Like, it was cool. Yeah, cool. Cut him up. Yeah, fuck yeah. Blow them kids up. Who cares?
Like,
But at the same time, like now I'm starting to focus more on Sienna's like why when she grabbed her dad's hand did the room start shaking and the door start like glowing and you know what I mean? Like now I'm
mhm.
like, well, what's this about? Because this is boring now. What's this?
Right.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that's why that's kind of like, but I also don't want that in my movie. So if I'm focusing on that because I'm bored of that shit over there, then you've done something wrong.
Right.
You done fucked it up somehow.
That's
But
because you need to either have victims that are sympathetic, or you need to have kind of like the Tommy Jarvis, like, okay, then the Sienna, you say her name is, she needs to be like, I'm going to kill Art the Clown for what he's done to my life. And she
take the
becomes
Laurie Strode approach.
the Laurie Strode, the Tommy Jarvis that
Hmm.
she's taking, that she's in the hunt now.
Hmm.
And we meet our victims. Oh, we're gonna go to the Terrifier on Halloween and smoke weed and have sex in the Terrifier and shit,
Yeah.
and she shows up, and then you have like a good foundation story, and then you build there, we build there instead of just like, yeah, she got out and then she went with some aunt and uncle, and the aunt and uncle weren't interesting, so they died pretty quick and pretty brutal. And then, stuff happens, and then demon, and
Yeah.
then, and that's where it's going. It's becoming, and then this happens,
Right.
and
Right.
then this happens.
And that's great
And
for improv, but these movies aren't improv.
right, no, they need to have a good, because if you're trying to, like, because the second one and the third one are structured stories of one part leads to another part, then what story are we telling here? Is it Art story? Is it Sienna story? Is it where are we going?
Well, I obviously ultimately we're coming to some sort of head, right? There's it's going somewhere.
Right.
And we just have to keep watching to figure it out. But they're obviously going to have some sort of face off once and for all kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
like a Laurie Strode, Michael Myers thing, because she is starting to figure out what's going on with her dad and her, and she's like, all that's coming together. All right, cool, fine. Again,
Right.
I wish it was his own separate movie, but fine. All right, it's here now. Let's just roll with it.
Right.
Cool. Let's get that figured out. Why that little girl fell into that red hole, I guess that's supposed to be hell. And she's like, I will find you. So I guess she's going to go down to the Terrifier in the fourth one to find her
Going
in that
to
hole.
Sienna and hell, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But
Um,
even like,
but
oh no, go ahead.
well, I'm just saying it's going somewhere. There's rhymes and reasons that we're just not fully aware of yet.
Right.
And though the story was kind of like, I don't care about this aunt and uncle or their dynamic because it seems like they're kind of
They're
fighting a little
cannon
bit.
fodder.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, it's going somewhere and I already like I will see it out obviously, but I'm kind of like like this one I when I saw Terrifier 1 I was like holy shit that's awesome. I can't wait to
Of
see
course.
Terrifier 2. Right. I saw Terrifier 2 and I was like huh?
Oh,
That's,
that's
I
where
mean,
we're
it's
going.
cool. I like, the psychology of art, like being crazy, seeing the little kid, and like, that. Oh, it's a little bit more gory. That's fun.
Yeah. Oh, we find out why these are called Terrifiers. You know,
Yeah. And
that's great.
then
You know,
3, I didn't go running. I saw Terrifier 2 in the theater. I was excited as shit.
hmm
Terrifier 3, I waited for it to come out on DVD and I
yeah,
watched it.
bought
Like
DVD.
yeah. Yeah, I
Still
bought the
happy I bought the
DVD.
DVD. You
I
know,
am happy that I bought the DVD.
you know,
But I took my time. The fourth one, yeah, I'm gonna buy that DVD too.
right?
But I'm not gonna be running to the theaters for
No,
it. At this point, it's just kind of seeing them out. At this point, it's starting to feel like, again, I love Art the Clown. I think he's a wonderful character.
yeah,
I love the goriness to some extent, and then it's just like, but at a certain point, it's just like, ooh, look what I can do. Look
right.
how much I can do, and it's like, ugh, all right, yeah, I get it. I get it. You're not impressing me. Like
hmm
I've seen more impressive shit with no actual gore on screen. Like I've seen more brutal shit with no gore on screen. So like
No,
you pulling out intestines and cutting off legs with the chainsaw, it's like, yeah, that's cool, man.
finger
If it was
bang glass.
yeah, if it was Terrifier 1, that's cool. Now that it's Terrifier 3 and you're just doing it because you feel like you have to, it's not impressive anymore.
It's yeah, but it's part of the roller coaster ride. You know, the kids aren't gonna if fucking, but now they're committed. So in Terrifier 4, if he cuts back on the gore and tries to push more story, like everybody's gonna come. This hack fraud doesn't know what he's doing. You know, look at
Yeah.
this. Look at oh man, this movie went to a terrible dip. You know, like if we got Terrifier 1 again on screen,
That would be
people,
nice.
this is boring.
All
Um,
right, real quick. And again, I know I've got a lot of bitching about this movie, but I don't dislike it. It's just not. I think with each one that comes out, the last one just looks better.
yeah,
So like 1, yeah, top of the line.
yeah.
2, eh. 3 comes out, 2 ain't so bad. 4 comes out, 3 ain't so bad. I think that that's how this is going to play out until we know the full storyline, and then
Unless
maybe I'll sit.
4 is a prequel and it goes
Well,
back and explains more on art and
I think
not
they're
how
just
he
gonna. Well,
became
okay,
art, but
right.
like basically the end of 4 being a prequel, if it leaves off with him walking into that pizza shop.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe.
And we got to stop trying to pretend to kill him at the end of these movies. Guess what? He ain't gonna fucking die. Like
Yeah,
if I
yeah.
was
But
Sienna,
well, at least in this one, he got away. Like
yeah,
he got away.
yeah.
So there is no whoopsie daisy.
Whoopsie,
Like
yeah,
he's super dead this time. Psych.
yeah.
All right, so let me ask you this. In all three of these movies, what is your favorite thing, scene, derp der, whatever?
Oh, where my like top scenes. All right, in the first one, it will always be the the pizza shop.
Yeah.
In the
Okay.
second one,
Oh no,
it's
I just meant overall over the series.
oh yeah, pizza shop scene sets us
Yeah.
up with this character. Even before the pizza shop, where like she's yelling at him at the road, he's just walking down the road, and then they could have just not worried about him, but they were yelling at him, and he was like, "Okay, you know."
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Basically.
where, and just that introduction to him.
Yeah. Yeah. I do
Um,
love that.
but with back on the 3, we shit on it. We shat on it. Okay.
We shat all
Okay.
over this
I
movie.
want to throw some love though.
Okay.
The props department,
Absolutely.
the visual effects department, they
Absolutely.
have the money is going to a proper place of
Right.
showing this. Now, do I need like that extreme gore? No. I mean, it's nice, but
It's
oh man.
nice to see it out there again.
Right.
As where like it hasn't been that gory since the 80s. I'm glad to see that it's out there again.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I'm
it's like there's some of the face rips and the face pulls were really nice, and like, like when he's chainsawing the guy in the shower, you see the dong like kind of
yeah,
like going back and forth, and faux pas. I'm happy for any movie that hangs dong.
right.
So,
Naturally. Yeah.
um, but yeah, so I mean, the props department is on top of things, and really like how to make like violence
Hmm.
look almost fucking cartoony,
Yeah, it's
you
fun.
know.
Yeah. But
So
I
it's
think
like a
that's an
guar.
I
It's like more intense guar, you
right.
know. So
I go back to like that Dead Alive thing. Like
yeah,
just that over gory gore that's cartoony.
right.
And maybe that's what it is. It's an ode to that. Like it's just like a little
Maybe.
nod back to that. And I'm just being stupid or cynical. Um, I don't know. Again, the movie's good.
But in
Yes.
that case, Jacob, you gonna go see it in the theater? Did you see this in the theater?
Uh, and if I could,
You just would skip and wait for DVD?
yeah, that's yeah.
Fuck, what was this? I know as
You didn't answer.
oh yeah, no, I wouldn't see it in the
Yeah.
theater. I'm fine.
Yeah.
This is for the, other kids and Halloween time. Go watch it in the theater. Yeah, have a great time.
Why do you
I'm
keep
happy.
talking about kids? Who stop acting like we can't enjoy new horror.
I'm not
Like
acting like that.
you
I'm
keep
just
acting
saying that
like
this
this,
is
oh, this
for
ain't for us. This
because
ain't
like
for us. Like
this is made for the
us, it's
younger
made for everybody.
generations,
It's made
and
for whoever
you
has
know
eyes and ears and
they're the
is
ones that
alive.
are fucking putting money in the fucking pockets of these guys. So,
No.
um, but Jacob, you own a physical copy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I own a physical copy too. Jacob, Cult Classic it?
No. I don't think it's going to be a classic.
I think the cult will
It's
be
gone.
the generation that are watching this now, just like, Saul generation, or,
Mm.
would you recommend it?
No, because it's actually, it's funny today. Um, one of the guys at work was like, "Man, I need some new movies to watch, and you're the movie guy. So what do you got?" I was like, "I watch mostly horror, man. I almost exclusively watch horror for the most part."
Right.
And he's like, "That's fine with me." I was like, "All right," and I literally went, "Terrifier 3. You should watch The Substance. It's dumb.